One of my favorites, and one of the most favorites, one of the more popular ones, let's say, of this entire collection is is poem 130. Here we are deep into the well, not deep, but we're into the dark lady sonnets, no longer addressing the young man who's refusing to go out and procreate, but now there is the subject lurking within the poems or behind them is a mysterious woman, very sexual in nature, whereas the young man of the earlier poems was younger than the poet, and so there was a certain condescension in age going on there, certain paternalistic attitude expressed here. Perhaps the woman is a little older, certainly more experienced, and also rather sexually active, and gives a different vibe, almost a cougar vibe going on, if we can appropriate that term. But take a look at this one, because it is fun. My mistress's eyes are nothing like the sun. Coral is far more red than her lips red. If snow be white, why then her breasts are dun. If hairs be wires, black wires grow on her head. I have seen roses damasked red and white, but no such roses see I in her cheeks. And in some perfumes there is more delight than in the breath that from my mistress reeks. I love to hear her speak, yet well I know that music hath a far more pleasing sound. I grant I never saw a goddess go. My mistress, when she walks, treads on the ground. And yet, by heaven, I think my love is rare as any she belied with false compare. This one is this one's throwing some elbows. Now, it is making fun of Renaissance love poetry that comes before. He is clicking through a lot of the cliches of the Petrarchan model, where everybody had written poems about how perfect their lady love is, and oh, she's like a goddess. Oh, she is a distillation of all that is divine among us. She is perfect, and we will just put her up on a pedestal, and we will worship her, and oh, the ennobling of that. And think of Guido Guinizelli and Cavalcante and Dante. The experience of worshiping this woman will make us better people. We will achieve an ideal state by worshiping her. Yeah. Shakespeare kind of takes a blowtorch to all of that. My mistress's eyes are nothing like the sun. Instead of sparkling like sunshine, no, they're not. Coral is far more red than her lips red. Coral red was a standard cliche of love poetry at the time. Snow be white, why then her breasts are dun. Her skin's a little dingy. Maybe she's got some eczema. I don't know. If hairs be wires, black wires grow on her head. Black significantly. She is the ideal beauty of the Italian sonnet sequences tended to be blonde and Aryan, blonde hair, blue eye, idea of beauty. And here he's saying, well, no, this one, the dark lady, perhaps, is, well, you know, she's a brunette. She's a little darker, got a little different shade going on there. You can take that in a number of different directions, and Shakespeare, of course, does in other poems, but we're not going into that right now. I have seen roses damasked red and white, but no such roses see I in her cheeks. No rosy cheeks on this one. And then this line always gets me. And in some perfumes there is more delight than in the breath from my mistress reeks. Little stinky. She's a stinky girl. I love to hear her speak, yet well I know that music hath a far more pleasing sound. Her voice might be a little scratchy, might be a little irritating, and yet he loves to hear it, even in its imperfection. I grant I never saw a goddess go, my mistress, when she walks, treads upon the ground. She's not a goddess. She doesn't fly. She's just an ordinary mortal trucking around there. And then, of course, at the end, and yet, by heaven, I think my love is rare as any sheep allied with false compare. It's an honest little love poem, quite frankly. On one level, you can see how he is making fun of all the other conventions of love poetry, and he's saying, you know, mine is different, but it's special to me, and so I love her. Look at that from another perspective, and you can see that, well, everything that he's making fun of in the physical attributes of her, the way she looks, the way she smells, the way she sounds, those are all physical, worldly, cosmetic in some ways, attributes, and he seems to love something within. He seems to love something deeper, something more significant. That interior quality that is not recognizable, perhaps, by objective means. And he can see that, and you can say that. You can say that this is a noble quality of his, and saying, "Oh, he loves her for who she is, not what she looks like, or smells like, or sounds like, or anything like that." He doesn't love the image of her. He loves her for what she is within, and that is quite extraordinary. But you have to also concede that those first 14 lines are brutal, or first 12 lines are brutal. Ladies, you can focus on those final 2 lines and say, "Oh, isn't that nice? I wish my boyfriend was like that." But there's some serious, serious harshness unloaded in those first 12 lines. Dare I say, bordering on some misogyny. And again, think of the form here, where he is really stretching that rubber band as far as it will go. How much will the reader tolerate me dumping on this woman before I get to the end and take it all back? And that ending all anyway, that couplet after the volta, it seems to be, well, it could be argued, I will say this, it could be argued that it is a little tiny trite band-aid after inflicting a gaping wound. You can judge this for yourselves, but after imagine sitting next to this person who says they say they love you, but they're giving this litany, this unending litany of your flaws, of your faults, of your imperfections, and you're just sitting there stewing and taking it and watching other people sit there and listen to it. And then at the end, he just sort of looks over and says, "But I love her anyway." Does that make up for it? Is that sufficient? Is that at all legitimate? So here's a case where I think that emotional beginning kind of overwhelms the intellectualized, rational couplet. The strength of it, of the 2 parts, are, I would say, disproportionate. You can reach very different conclusions in that, and this is a point for very clear debate, but there is some questioning of which voice, which perspective do we grant the final say? because he spends an awful lot of time just pounding on this woman in a kind of visceral way, humiliating even. And then does it all get unwound at the end, or is it just too little too late? There's uncertainty there. Sounds like gaslighting. Sure. The beginning of it shapes a perspective, and the end of it tries to reshape it radically in a way that doesn't quite make it. Does the intellect have that ability? Can the intellect completely reshape reality? It's an excellent question. Gaslighting. Does one little line at the end, or two little lines at the end, put a happy cast on the more animalistic instincts that have run amok up until then? Can it be forgiven? These are the questions at the heart of the Renaissance, quite frankly, where we are trying to reach our ideal, but we are still anchored to who we are and who we want to be, and there's no clear line between them. And on some days, we're going to reach that ideal, or at least come very close. On probably many more days, we're going to devolve into our more bestial natures. And this poem is one great example of that.